Notre Dame had 6 players at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama this past week. And to break it down are Mike Singer and Patrick Engel here from blueandgold.com. First, we want to make you guys aware that using promo code Irish60 at blueandgold.com will get you 2 months free of premium access over on our website. So if you like our videos, you can get everything we're doing for 2 months free on a daily basis over at blueandgold.com. Okay, into the Senior Bowl, Patrick. Probably the headliner for Notre Dame was the quarterback, and there were some pretty good quarterbacks in Mobile for this, but up on the screen here we have exclusive clips from this shot by Rivals.com's Greg Ladkey during the week of practices. And Ian Book had a solid week. His stats during the game, Patrick 5 for 11 for 48 yards and that interception that was kind of thrown up on a Hail Mary. So what did you see from Ian Book during the Senior Bowl on Saturday?
It took him a couple of drives to settle in. I mean, there were two straight 3-and-outs when he started the third quarter. That was his first action, was the start of the second half there. But yeah, a couple of drives where he wasn't credited with throwing a pass. He threw one, but it was wiped out due to a penalty, and three scrambles of what I counted plus a sack. So took a little bit, but then settled down, led a touchdown drive that ended with a 12-yard run where Robert Hainsey and Aaron Banks helped push Michael Carter, the former North Carolina running back, across the goal line. And on that one, he made a few good throws. I had him at 4 of 8 on that drive in particular. The best throw I thought he made there was a 4th and 3 little slant route out to UCLA's Demetric Felton, where he kind of threw it as he was backpedaling, put it right where it was supposed to be, kind of dropped down to a sidearm angle, but just easy looking throw there. And then, yeah, that interception was on a Hail Mary. With Senior Bowl has weird rules where every quarter is a change of possession. So it was the end of the third quarter. So, yeah, it's not like that was a play where it was really anything other than just literally Hail Mary, throw it up because you're not getting the ball back. But, yeah, in the game, nothing that really blew you away, and yeah, a little rusty, but overall, you saw some mobility and escapability that Notre Dame had seen and gotten from him for 3 years.
It seems like for the entire week, book stock is up. I mean, pop this tweet up on the screen from Jim Nagy. He put out the day before the game that Notre Dame quarterback Ian Book was named top QB on the national team in a vote from the secondary group at practice. So I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, there's some good quarterbacks there, and for Ian Book to get that, it seems like during the week his stock is up, and got some Baker Mayfield comparisons throughout the week. So seems like it was a solid week overall for Ian Book.
Daniel Jeremiah on the NFL Network broadcast said that Book reminded him of Colt McCoy, of course, the former Texas quarterback who's still in the league as a backup, I believe. And that's kind of the consensus you get from Book just from talking and listening to analysts and scouts who do this full time and for a living, and of course what you would have thought just from watching Book for 3 years. And from what it seems, it's maybe if you had to pick between what's more likely in that Book being drafted earlier than you'd think, say maybe the 4th or 5th round, to versus Book being undrafted, it's the former. I mean,
Sure.
if you just and I say this just from reading and listening to a few folks who do this. I believe it was Dame Drew from The Athletic who kind of hinted at that, and that it wouldn't be surprising if to him if Book's name is called earlier on that day 3 than you might think of, say, 6th, 7th round, which I know a lot of Notre Dame fans and perhaps some of us in Notre Dame media had kind of expected from him. But yeah, apparently the value in Book from an NFL perspective is greater than what you might have expected had you followed his college career closely like we had.
Yeah, so some other guys, obviously, for Notre Dame in the Senior Bowl, you had wide receiver Ben Skoranek, who did not play in the game. He had an injured foot on Wednesday. You mentioned Hainsey and Banks, and then Ade Ogundeji and Dalen Hayes. It seemed like of the other 5, Ade Ogundeji had a pretty good week. In this picture here, you see him getting some pressure, and I know the game's MVP was Kellen Mond, and Ogundeji was able to get some pressure on him. So, thoughts on Ade throughout the week, Patrick?
Yeah, he impressed in the game on Saturday from what I was able to see. I think the first series that he played there was a kind of a bootleg where he wasn't blocked or he was barely blocked or chipped or something simple, and one of those kind of situations where there's a receiver in the flat and the quarterback's rolling out. Ade put some pressure on Kellen Mond and forced him to check that down, I think, and ended up going for a loss of yards on the reception. And then later on, got past Texas A&M tackle Carson Green for a sack, one-on-one there. But yeah, overall, seemingly a good week in the practices as well. He kind of got some attention in the weigh-ins and measurements on Tuesday when he measured up, and you could really see his length in quantified, where 35-inch arms. I forget the exact like eighth of an inch to which they measured those, but yeah, the length of Ogundeji was certainly on display in the practice clips that you were able to see and in the game.
I want to mention real quick that Liam Eichenberg was invited and accepted the invite to the Senior Bowl, but he did not participate in the week of practices in the game, where we don't have an exact reason for that, but just wanted to mention that. You also had Robert Hainsey, Aaron Banks, Dalen Hayes. Thoughts on those guys for the week, Patrick?
Yeah, Hainsey kind of got to showcase his versatility where he played guard and center in the game itself, even snapped to Ian Book on a couple of series and repped at center, guard, and tackle, I believe, in the weeks of practice. And yeah, you drew strong reviews there and had a good showing in that game where reliable in pass protection, had a few reps there where he stood his man up, got to the second level on a big Michael Carter run in the first quarter. And then before he helped Bush push Michael Carter into the end zone for a touchdown there, he got to the second level to initially clear the path that Carter took on that touchdown run. So a good showing for him. And Aaron Banks drew good reviews, it seems, during the week. Had a couple of tough moments in reps and pass protection, but same thing on that Carter touchdown run. He got to the second level really quickly, which, again, those if you watched him for 3 years, not news at all to you, just his ability to move and explode up to the second level really quickly and clear lanes.
So then April is the 2021 NFL Draft. Will be here quick before you know it. Notre Dame's going to have, a good bit guys drafted. I mean, Liam Eichenberg, who we mentioned earlier, will certainly be drafted. You would expect all these guys from the Senior Bowl. Maybe Ben Skoranek is a fringe drafted guy. What are your thoughts about how many guys you would expect Notre Dame to get drafted in April?
I mean, the highest draft pick in all likelihood from Notre Dame this year wasn't even at the Senior Bowl, and that's, of course, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. But yeah, if you look at the 7 guys who were initially going to be there, and that's including Eichenberg, who, of course, didn't end up being able to participate, you would think that 6, especially given what this week has brought up in terms of conversation about Book, have a pretty good chance to be drafted. And certainly Hainsey helping his case there as far as mainly pushing up their stocks, and is not just a matter of if, but all right, where exactly and how high did this raise them. And of course, the rest of whatever the combine looks like in pro days, which are going to be a heavier emphasis on pro days with no regular combine in Indianapolis this year. But yeah, you would have to think that 7 feels like a safe number. A really tough break for Skoranek with that foot injury. Obviously not being able to play in the game and get a full week's worth of reps there, and we'll see what it means for his pro day. But yeah, I think really would have had a chance to showcase his blocking and surprise a little bit with his speed. So again, we'll see if he's able to run a 40 and go through some of those drills as the draft gets closer.
All right, yeah, as the draft gets closer, we'll have more content right here from our blueandgold.com YouTube page, as well as blueandgold.com itself. Please leave a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments with regards to what you thought about Notre Dame's week at the Senior Bowl.